malo bezobrazan prema Paskalu u prvih 60 sekundi i kazati vam svima dobar dan i hvala što ste ovde. Hvala dobrim ljudima iz knjižničke biblioteke koji me sad zovu toliko često da mi ljudi prepoznaju ovde na ulici popodne. Ovo je predstavljanje knjige, kao što vidimo, Paskala Janovjaka, švajcarskog frankofonog autora, koji je objavila izdavačka kuća Partizanska knjiga, u kojoj sam ja jedan od urednika i zato sam ovdje ja, ne neko drugi. Pošto ja francuski jezik, nažalost, ne govorim, Paskal i ja sam ovdje pokušati da obavim jedan smisleni razgovor za sve vas na engleskom jeziku. So I told them that you're a genius. Now they know that. And my first question will be the toughest one. So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm very happy to be here because I realized this morning how close the language of Montenegro, the Serbian language, is to my father's language, to the Slovak language. I can understand maybe 60%, 70% of it. So I was not too embarrassed when I had to ask for some zucker in the coffee, or to know what was in the sandwich. It was shunka or sir. I could survive these first hours in Montenegro. It was nice.
Good to hear that. The other is like this. This is your, as far as I know, newest novel. This one.
No, I wrote another one.
Okay. Almost newest novel.
Almost.
And is this one representative enough for what you are doing in literature for all these years? Is this the best place to start with your literature?
I think it's the one that has been most recognized, the most translated. It's maybe the most ambitious because I tried to tell 1 century of the story of a place. But for my other books, I think I always try to do something new. It's not very, commercially speaking, it's not a good idea.
But as you said, it is translated in a couple of languages, even in English,
yes.
As far as I know. And what's the point? Why the publishers are doing that?
Doing what?
Translating, especially this book, into their languages.
I don't know, I was very surprised. As I told you, I'm lucky to have behind me a small part of the Swiss government who promotes the Swiss authors and to help the book being translated abroad. But the English version was not supported. They just wanted this book and they did it without any help. So I think maybe something was interesting there. I don't know if it's the animals, the idea of the animals, the idea of Rome. People tend to think that Rome is a beautiful city, so maybe something they want to read about it.
Okay, that's fair enough. But why Rome? Why Rome? You are living in Rome for 15 years. Why Rome and why zoo in Rome?
I didn't have any theory or idea. It was just I visited the place, and it made a strong impression. I thought that finally I found in Rome something that was like an unknown continent that people didn't visit, and that I could, from this dark point of the city, I could make something out of it and tell my news.
And what's your attitude towards zoos nowadays? Because it's not easy to read that into the book.
At first, I was very surprised because I took my children to the zoo, and I thought it's a bit stupid because to have them enjoy their Sunday afternoon, I'm taking them into some kind of concentration camp, because this is what I thought of zoos, it's a sad place. But there was nothing else to do, and maybe it's part of education to show animals to children. But anyway, I went there with them, and this was my first idea of zoos. It was very negative. And then I met people who worked there, and when you start writing about a subject, then you cannot love or hate it anymore. It becomes always richer and more complex.
And everyone can see that in the book. There is a complete line dedicated to history of the zoo in Rome. I guess you would spend some time in researching the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I read a lot. I met people who told me their history. There is not a lot of documentation because it's considered to be a place that really doesn't deserve much study. So I had to find bits and pieces where I could, sometimes in the archives of the Italian TV or the archives of the Italian radio, sometimes by testimonies, by people telling me about it.
How much time you spent?
I think I studied for a year and a half, doing just the study, just the historical study. And also learning about how it works, what are animals, how do they behave in captivity, what is a zoo? Because I had absolutely no idea. And I wanted to, kind of feel more at ease with a subject that was very, very obscure.
And now we can say, okay, that's true. That's supported by the facts.
Yes.
That line in the novel.
Absolutely. All the historical line in the novel is only based on facts. And the only thing I did was to do the montage, to cut uninteresting facts and maybe to blow up facts that I felt are more relevant, but they're all based on the truth. Which is not important, actually.
Yeah. I'm very surprised by something you found in that kind of literature, informations about history of your zoo. Very surprised. Did something shock you?
The most funny thing was to me to saw how Mussolini used the place to do his own promotion. So this is a quick story I can tell. He was gifted a young lion, a lioness, a female lion, and he kept her at home like a cat. And after a while, the cleaning lady said to him, "Sir, we cannot keep this lion in the house because it smells too much, it's dirty, we have to give it away." So he gave it to the zoo. But he regularly went to the zoo to be taken, to be photographed with the lioness beside him. Because I guess that made him the Italian lion, beside the lions. And I think in his mind and in the propaganda, the antelopes, the prey of the lion, was symbolized Africa. So the zoo was full of antelopes, of other animals taken from Africa, and he was the Italian lion. So he used this institution, which I thought was for kids, he used it for a very strong political propaganda. This was one fact.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is interesting. And at the very end of the novel, we can realize that some things are continually happening in a history. Is it translated into Italian?
It is, yes.
And the reception?
Very good, very good. Some people from Rome told me, it's so Roman. The characters, they behave in such a Roman way. I don't know. I was happy, of course, that they felt that it worked.
I read it again for the third time, yesterday and today in the morning at the airport in Belgrade. And I was trying to think about the type of this novel. So, in the same time, it is political novel, it is some kind of ecological novel, it is definitely a love novel, even family novel. So now you must choose one thing, and please tell me which one is your favorite one.
I think it's very it's too difficult question. What I discovered when I finished this novel that what I like in an artwork is a work that exists by itself. That is not a commentary, a political comment on today's events, neither some kind of psychological research on people, but it's like a universe where you could dig into and you could live in a whole universe. It is impossible to achieve to create a universe, because when you write, you always take from reality and you give back to reality. But to look for that, to try to have this kind of complete world, to build a world in itself, this was maybe something that I will aim for.
Okay, but in one moment we realized that we have another dimension of this novel, which is almost sci-fi dimension, because you invented the animal and none was seen.
Yes.
Anytime, anywhere, with history books, this animal is called Tamon Bean. It's some kind of ant eater, and that animal is, if I can say, leitmotif of this novel. What about that idea? Why you needed completely new animal?
I actually, in the novel, there are a few animals that have names that don't exist. I would take existing names and change them a little bit, so that the reader is not really sure of what animal he sees. And in front of those strange names, he has the same behavior as the visitor in the zoo, looking at an enclosure and not really seeing the animal, or looking for it and not really understanding what the animal is that is inside. I think it's, in a way, it's a bit political, is to free the animal from the language, because language is the first way to dominate something or somebody, to give it a name. And this is the way we dominated the animals from the start. So giving a name that doesn't exist, and even creating a form that maybe doesn't exist, was a way for me to free the animal spirit from our domination.
There is a certain paradox, because all those people arrive in the zoo to see Tamon Bean, they are in one way like imprisoned by the animal. Even Salman Rushdie, even he is imprisoned, and wrote an article about Tamon Bean. Is it some kind of revenge?
Not at all. I like very much Rushdie. I think what I wanted to imagine is something that would attract the attention and that would allow people to project on it their own fantasies, their own needs, their own desires, their own problems, like we always did with religion, with many things that are open enough for us to project on them. And this is what happens when you look at an animal in the zoo. You look at this animal face and you can imagine what the animal thinks. Because it looks like us, it has this symmetry, eyes, nose. But the expression, it doesn't reflect your expression, it doesn't give you something back. So you can put everything on it, you can imagine whatever you want. And so I imagine those people coming to see this last specimen of a race and projecting all their sorrows, all their fears onto that poor animal. It was a way to show also how lost we are in terms of values and references.
Okay, let's go back to politics, because I'm out of Serbia for 6 hours and I miss politics. What was funny in your descriptions of different phases of a local community in Rome and their attitude towards the zoo, from the most primitive, if I can say, until nowadays. It seems that all the local communities treated that place really badly, with wrong ideas, wrong attitudes, and always trying to get some money out of that place.
I don't think it's really about money, it's more about power.
And power.
And it's more about propaganda. When I visited the zoo, I thought how strange that this institution exists, because it's so big and so expensive. When you build a town hall or a school or a museum, you always have some social or political ideas. But a museum is not so expensive. A zoo is extraordinarily expensive, because they are like living artworks. You have to feed one day after another. So what is the political aim of a zoo? And so I discovered the various political aims that it had through history.
And the last station is the one in local municipality of Rome. They want to build one beautiful shopping mall, like in Dubai, welcome to Serbia. So they want to build a beautiful shopping mall and to destroy it.
Yes.
Completely to destroy the zoo with all its inhabitants.
Yeah.
Was that a fact?
It was a fact that some parts of the zoo were taken by the municipality, so the zoo became a little bit smaller, because at some point the municipality was a bit lost with all this space and didn't really understand how to exploit it. For the fascists, it was very easy to exploit, because it could show, the colonies, the big Italian empire. It was like a showcase. But afterwards, it was more and more difficult to use in a political manner, especially for the communist government that came after the war. In the communist municipality, they didn't really know what to do with all those animals. It didn't really show anything. So nowadays, it's used for education, for research, to show people that, there is a nature that is in danger. But it's also used to do some kind of business. It's a semi-private institution now. And, but it's quite difficult to maintain.
Yeah, yes. And we have the female character, Joanna, and she is director of marketing of that place. before she came to that place, the place is almost devastated, financially devastated. And her idea is to promote the only animal left on the planet, that tendon being animal, to bring attraction at the zoo in Rome. That's completely ironic, because you are fighting capitalism with another type of capitalism.
It is, I think, the marketing and communication today is really one of the most fascinating subjects you can find. How does it work? How the mechanics work? I think that we, at least maybe you will tell me how you feel about that. I feel that I am a product of capitalism. I am not only somebody who can judge capitalism, I am really a son of capitalism. So when I hear people wanting to change capitalism, I say, okay, let's try to do that, but it's like killing your father. It's not so easy. We have it in our veins. So of course it's fascinating to study this system, how it works, especially in terms of marketing, and it's fascinating also because it's always historical. It's the object of capitalism, a pair of shoes or a technology or a product. It's not important, it's the story you put on it. You have to explain to the consumer why this is the best pair of shoes, this is the best camera. It's all about stories. And in politics, we use the same stuff.
Even worse.
Even worse.
And this one goes like, this is not the most beautiful animal, this is not the best animal, this is the only one.
Yes.
And thing became myth.
Yes, that's maybe, I don't know, there is, I guess, a popular love of the unique, like in religion, there can be just one. Also, when you go to a concert, you want to be close to the singer because he's just one singer, you love this proximity. So I guess people want this particular experience that makes them feel unique.
Yeah, but this one is completely irrational, because you cannot identify yourself with the only specimen of some kind of strange animal. This is more like going somewhere behind the mirror, behind the things. You are close to something that wouldn't be in our lives ever more. The only one, the last one.
Yeah. Maybe you know how fascinated we are by the apocalypse. It's our books are full of apocalypse, our movies are full of end of the world. So I guess seeing it incarnated into an animal is something that people probably look for in a very perverse way.
Yeah, because it's that kind of history, that kind of mania, where the Rome Zoo is taking tourists from Vatican, from all the other places. It's funny, but it's horrific in another way. It's not, at the end, it's not funny at all, because one of the guards who killed the animal, he became something like animal estate.
Yes.
The most hated person in Italy.
Yes. I'm very much afraid of crowds, and I see them. It's apparently a very nice crowd. It's the crowd of the tourists. They are really very nice people. They just give money, so it's it's not a dangerous crowd. But actually, it is, because it takes the meaning out of a place. It's very easy to manipulate. It's very easy to direct. And when a crowd passes somewhere, then it destroys everything. It's so I imagine the crowd in this zoo like some big animal destroying the place, and I think this is what crowds do. I don't know. We're talking about demographics, about this feeling that we are always more, that there is no space left. I must say I feel it very strongly, although I don't believe that it's dangerous, but I feel it very strongly.
About demography, the other main character is Shahin. He's from Algeria, and he's some kind of secret agent of capitalism. He came with the idea to bring that shopping mall to life. And Joanna, she doesn't know that.
Yes.
She doesn't know that, even she fell in love with him.
Yes.
We have almost thriller intrigue.
Yes, I find it quite difficult to write thrillers, and sometimes I like reading them. I like questions, when you ask yourself who killed the man on the first page of the book, and you want to read to know the answer. Because in the end, life is just about questions. Also, and literature is about trying to find those questions and not propose answers, but propose ways to deal with those questions. So the thriller aspect it's fun to try to put in. As for this character, I think he's an architect, and architects, they go there where money can be made and where you can do your job, because for writing you don't need much money, but to build things you need more. But this man, he's not really an architect nor an agent of capital. He's just completely lost, because he's a lost man, and he's lost in his...
Not just in the room, he's lost in his complete life. He really is a tragic character.
Yes.
Really tragic character, and I could imagine now dedicated just to Shane Garvey, some kind of sequel or something, because that story is really painful and really has to do much with our lives, ordinary lives.
It's actually a character, I didn't write a sequel of it, but I wrote a prequel of it. He already appears in a bit different way in my first novel, which is called The Invisible Man, L'Invisible. And I had this idea of a wandering Arab, not a wandering Jew, but a wandering Arab, somebody who doesn't have a country, who would be Palestinian maybe, and who would be lost in the world. And this is, I think, a character that unfortunately we will find always more in our world. People who have, for a reason or another, to leave a territory with probably a tragic history on their shoulders, and just walk aimlessly. So,
he is almost like a ghost in some scenes.
Yes.
Almost like a ghost. Those are my favorite pages of the book. And I think that the psychological aspect of the novel is done perfectly. The scene when his wife is just standing in front of him is, you can see it on the big screen. It's like, congrats.
Thank you. This is something I can also add, that I was very much interested in language, because when you visit the zoo and you start studying the animals, then in a way you ask the question of human language, of what we have that the animals do not have. And I was amazed to understand that the most important things in our lives don't need language, where a look is enough to understand the basic, most important things in life.
Chekhov knew that.
Yeah.
Hemingway and Carver. So we just have to learn. And about the thriller, you have that Dr. Moreau. That person is very, very interesting too. He's somewhere around the main characters, but in the end of the novel we realize that he is extremely important even they don't know that.
Yes, he's the character that manipulates the story, and he's kind of a Sherlock Holmes who can read people very fast. Maybe you heard the name Desmond Morris. He was a specialist of zoos and animal behavior, and he applied this knowledge on human behavior. So he would tell you, if you start doing like that with your leg, it means you want to leave, you want to walk. You know? So many little signs on the human body, he would read them and analyze them, and this is what Moreau, this Dr. Moreau does. It's very frightening as a character, because somebody who can read you know, it's always frightening. And it's also a kind of transposition of the Moreau of Dr. Wells, of Wells's novel The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is like a zoo. It's a closed environment where you have a crazy doctor doing experiments on animals, and this is sci-fi dimension that I like. So this is another Dr. Moreau who does another kind of experiment.
Yeah, he really is like another ghost, evil ghost, all by himself. Like some evil writer who is true to
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And at the end we have a little bit of melodrama, and I like that, because the end is not, we are not ending in tragedy, but from different perspective, because Joanna will become mother.
Yes. I believe it's Mark Twain who said that a novelist who ends his novel in a bad way, in a negative way, he should be shot.
Don't look at me.
And of course it's funny, and I like the idea. I like the idea that I don't want to promote some commercial idea of happy endings, but sometimes, even in a conversation, to finish it on a laughter or on a smile, I guess maybe today we need that. We need to have the possibility to go on, to continue.
Not just like this, but you told the story 100 years old, and you have that scene of massacre of the animals after in the 40s, 20th century, and the zoo is still alive in 21st century, so it makes sense, because someone new will come.
Yes.
We are not the last one.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sometimes I thought it's a really simple thought, but sometimes people tell you we have no future, and you look at the kids and you say, yes, there is. I mean, it's physical. It's not some idea. There are physical people who have a future, who will grow. We don't know the world in which they will grow, but the future is here.
Since the future is here, we are doing some job, if this is a regular, proper job, decent job. And now we have a really strange enemy, the artificial intelligence. And I'm spending my time thinking a lot about who needs us.
Yeah.
Why we are doing this? Because everyone can make just one question. Everyone can ask artificial intelligence. I want to know about Paskal Janovjak, 300 pages long, and it's here for a minute.
Yes. Even 3 seconds.
So yeah. So what is the future of our job?
Yeah, it's really frightening. A friend of mine told me, the artificial intelligence can write any novel in 3 seconds, but the one thing that you cannot do is take 3 years to write it. So I said, okay, that's nice. No, I don't know. I think we need each other. I'm not interested to read the thoughts of some computer. I want to hear the thoughts of a human person that lives in my time, that shares, the same world. This is what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the perfect novel or the Bible or the Quran or the Holy Book. I'm just interested of somebody who can give me something about their thoughts about the world. So,
but that's you and that's me. And what about those kids? You may be able to make a difference between you and that stupid machine.
Maybe they won't, but maybe they will start digging and they will start to want to meet somebody, and when they realize that there is nobody behind, maybe it's delusion. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing if they continue reading, even if it's AI, because this is maybe a bigger problem if they get not reading.
Yes, you're right. So you're coming from Switzerland, and my publishing house, we translated some authors from that francophone part of Switzerland, like Paskal, Matthias Roal, Julien Marais, and we have that other part, German part, which is really interesting too. And when we are thinking about the Switzerland, I told you a couple of minutes before, there is a Bosnian singer with that infamous line, "My life is Switzerland," almost perfect one. So it sounds like something perfect, but you are francophone author and you are going at the market with all the other authors from France.
Yes.
So it's not the easiest thing with that kind of tradition behind them.
It's not easy. It actually depends on your publisher. I am lucky to have a French publisher, and so I have access to the French market. When you have a Swiss publisher, it's very difficult because France doesn't need the smaller countries like Belgium or Switzerland. France is big enough. So through the editor, I managed to. It works. But yes, it's true. There is a tension. The minority cultures. We know it very well how it works. The minority languages, how you have access to bigger cultural sounds.
And what about the Germans? Are they in better position?
No, I think that they have the same issues. Yes. And this is why the authors try to go to be published in Berlin and not in Zurich.
So that Boston singer, he wasn't correct.
Maybe they have less of that problem because Germany is less centralized, whereas in France everything looks towards Paris. So the only important thing happening is in Paris. Whereas in the German world, it's maybe not so much about what's happening in Berlin. It's maybe it's more open.
And can you tell me about Swiss literature today? What does it look like? Is it something unified poetically? Is it something diverse? Can you find something in common with your colleagues, especially from Francophone part?
No. I think it's quite diverse. Many things I saw published in Switzerland are about the small facts of life, which can be wonderful. Sometimes I also feel that there is a lack of ambition, a lack of being afraid of trying to grab something a bit bigger. But it really depends on the people. And on the German part, it's the culture is a bit different. They look more towards America, towards the American novel, I think. But I wouldn't say that there is any national character in Swiss literature. It's really
That's my impression, because I've read 4 or 5 books by Swiss authors, and every single one is different.
Yeah.
No something in common for all of you, which is a nice thing.
But do you think, I'm asking, do you think in Serbia you feel more like movements, intellectual movements?
No, it's the same. It's completely the same. You have millions of literatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since you lived in Palestine for some time, I guess you were sticking with what's happening in the last 2 years, almost 3 years in Palestine. Do you have some contacts with people in Palestine?
Yes, I do have. I met some of my friends that were not living in Gaza, but in the West Bank this summer, and I was very happy to see them again. But it was also very, strange days, because you don't really celebrate. When you celebrate, you feel strange. Well, I mean, I don't know really what to say. What I found amazing is that when I was living in Palestine, I came back to France and I would explain to people or tell them what I witnessed, and people would be, shocked or moved. And now I feel that, especially here when I'm talking to you, that everybody has their share of memories, of things they witnessed, of loads, and that war is not something from history books. It's something that exists, like a disease exists, and you know about it. So this is really frightening.
Thank you. Thank you. Bio je to naš gost Paskal Janovjak, jedan mali aplauz za njega.